at the airport on my way back from Texas to New York, but I'm in Philly right now. Interesting things I'm noticing about the airlines, and they're getting massive stuff from the stimulus package. So Southwest, which was already hit pretty hard by the 737 grounding, it's their biggest plane in the fleet. Almost, if not all, their fleet, can't be all, has to be most. All of the Southwest flights on the path I was trying to go, canceled for like the next couple weeks. Lots of American options. So haven't dug into those balance sheets, but if you want to know which one of the two is the better one right now, seems like American. Obviously, Southwest has that good customer service, good employee treatment, very good CEO, but American is the one doing flights right now. So we'll see who takes advantage of the stimulus loans, all that stuff, but just be advised that Southwest is canceling flights and American is having flights. Now, flights, big L's. So my flight had the whole row to myself. This time last year, there were about 2.5 million flights a day. Today, yesterday, whatever this week, 150,000 flights a day. So just to paint how aggressive this cutoff on flights is, those are the numbers. Now let's get to the big stuff, China. We don't know the real numbers from China, and we really should have. U.S., I assume, is reporting the numbers with the best accuracy they probably can do. China, Communist Party, state-run media, they're not going to do that, and to the expense of the rest of the world. So everyone's saying, oh, this is Trump's fault, this is Trump's fault, this is Trump's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's China's fault. If China had given us accurate numbers, and if they had showed how gruesome they were and how fast it was spreading, and it was appearing to spread relatively fast, but it also appeared they got under control relatively fast, which they probably did. But if the total net was pretty big, Trump would have been like, we got to get tests. We're going to be testing more per capita than China. He just got out of the trade war. Like, he wants that. So I think it would have been a different story, and it wouldn't have been as much, U.S. is almost 3 times as much as China in terms of cases, because it shouldn't be that way. China is way more dense than we are. That said, they were very good. Very good. I'm not trying to take anything away from China. They did a very good job of mitigating this. They, because they're communist regime, authoritarian, state-run media and everything, they used people's phone and wearables, Apple Watch data, to find who came in contact with who and quarantine those people. And they locked down Hubei province, which was the center of the epidemic, and most of the cases were contained to Hubei province. So they've, definitely decreased the amount of cases because they've sent people back to work since, and they're ahead of us in this. So on an optimistic note, they paint the picture of what's going to happen here, maybe. They kind of show that this is possible, that it's possible to mitigate and contain this to an extent. Same thing with Italy. Italy has gotten it down to 4,000 cases a day, down from the highs of around 9,000 cases a day. Good positivity there. So we will see what happens here. As of right now, we had a solid uptick from 2 days ago to yesterday, from about a little over 20,000 and change to a little over 24,000 and change. And it looked like we, were flattening at around 20,000 in terms of new daily cases, 20,000, like 19,900, 20,000 something, 20,000 something, 20,900. Still on the upward side, though, and we had a solid jump. So obviously I can't predict when that's going to happen, but the market is forward-looking. Let's remember that. And while we're seeing cases increase, we're seeing testing capacity increase. We're seeing resources increase. We're seeing mitigation efforts increase. And we're seeing stocks go down. Old advice applies here. Nibble on the way down. We're good prices, Obviously, maybe if you've got something like GM, you trim that. I had GM. I trimmed that. It's a good stock, good value investment, but I'm trying to buy it back at a lower level, and people are freaking out because no one's buying a car right now because no one's driving. So just a couple things to think about with regards to that. If you've got a lot of cash, you're nibbling. If you don't have any cash, sell things like GM, sell things that are going to be, hurt a lot by this increase in expected cases that is way higher than I thought. The White House said 100,000 to 240,000 cases or deaths at the beginning of their speech yesterday. And then it was a 2.5-hour speech. So after that, they started to backtrack on those numbers. Bree, the female head doctor, she came out and said that was anticipating not 100% mitigation efforts. Who knows if that's 99% or if that's 60%. We don't know. It's not 100%. Interesting use of words. Dr. Anthony Fauci said something like, we're going to hope for way less than that. Okay, good. That's kind of where they're thinking then. That's where the truth lies. But from a political perspective, they want to overshoot and over-prepare versus undershoot and under-prepare, because then it looks bad. And Trump is already suffering from that because we were undershooting. We anticipated some spread, but less spread than we anticipated. Whereas if we had the accurate and complete numbers, we might have over-prepared a little bit more, made sure we had 1 million tests on deck before there was massive spread here, rather than finding out there's significant spread here and then being like, we need 1 million tests. So we're in a good spot, relatively speaking. Obviously, the spread is terrible. Obviously, this is a terrible situation to be in. But it could be worse, We could have worse doctors. We could have worse hospitals. We could have worse pharmaceutical companies. Thank God we have the best in all three categories, We've been dealt cards, and we've got the best strategies, it seems. At least the best tools. So now we got to put those tools to use, and it seems like that's happening. We've got a 5-minute result test now. Nobody else in the world has that. We have it. Abbott Labs, thank you. This is why we have private pharma, so they can make money by helping us quickly and efficiently, better than anyone else in the world can. So obviously it's terrible that this is happening, but that has nothing to do with Big Pharma. It really doesn't. Big Pharma is here to help. They're here to help. I don't want to hear anything else, but I'm happy to talk to anybody who has something else to say about that. So I hope you and your families are staying safe. As for your stock portfolio, I think you should be trimming things that are going to be extra hurt by this April 30th deadline that notably hasn't changed. It did change from April 12th to April 30th on the news we heard yesterday. Trump knew that before. He didn't want to announce both things at the same time, so he announced the April 30th deadline, got everyone prepared, then explained why in a 2.5-hour long conference with a lot of different ways of looking at it, depending on if you watched the first 5 minutes or you watched the full hour, full 2 hours, full hour, 2.5 hours. So that's the story here. Until next time, until tomorrow, peace.